Hi, everybody. My name is Leslie Pyle, and I'm the founder of HireMyMom.com. And today I'm excited to have Kathy Goughenour.
Goughenour. That's it.
Goughenour.
Yes.
It was in my brain.
You
I'm
got
like,
it.
am I going to mess it up? Am I going to mess up? So she's going to tell us a little bit about who she is, what she does, and all those good things. So,
Leslie, thank you so much for having me on here. And you had my name right. I just jumped in there just in case to help you. I didn't want you to worry about it. I'm just going to tell a real funny story first. I was a virtual assistant from 2001 until about 2013. And I worked with one client for 5 years. And I worked so closely with her that she would tell her husband, if you need to know where I am, she was a professional speaker, so she traveled all around the world. And she said, if you need to know where I am, just ask Kathy. She is the only one that keeps track of where I am. And so that's how closely we worked for 5 years. And still, she had me on her podcast towards the end of our time working together. And she said, I want you to meet my amazing virtual assistant, Kathy Goughenour.
For all those years, she still didn't get it right. Well, I feel pretty good.
And of course, I never corrected her because I don't care. And I was honored to be on her podcast.
Yeah.
But I still laugh about that because, and by the way, a lot of people do like go to the Guggenheim, or I always know there's salespeople when they say goofy hour. No, that's not it. So
Yeah.
you wanted to know a little bit about me and what I do. Well, I already mentioned I was a virtual assistant, started way back in the pioneer days. 2001 was when I started, and I was already in my 40s by the time I started my VA business. I'd had a almost 20-year career at a Fortune 500 company. And after my boss told me I laughed and smiled too much, so I'd never be promoted again, I decided to quit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was
That's
really
a terrible
lucky
thing.
because, oh my gosh, you can probably tell how goofy I already am and silly, and I love it. I love being joyful and having fun.
Right.
If you can't see us, I'm wearing a tiara right now, and I almost always wear a tiara because it makes me feel like a princess.
I was wondering if
You
that was
know,
a tiara.
it is. It
There
is a
you go.
crystal tiara. Yeah.
Awesome.
But they didn't like it when I wore these at the corporate office. I
Mhm.
didn't wear them there, but I did laugh and smile a lot. You would think that would be a good thing, but apparently it was not.
Mm.
So I had the strength, the courage to quit. And I did. I quit that job where everybody back then, it was about 1995, said, you're crazy to quit a really good corporate job where you've already been here 18 years. And I said, life is too short to not be able to laugh and smile all I want. And I know that I have more to give.
Mhm.
And I was a marketing manager there. And I thought, well, I can always do something else.
Mhm.
And I traveled for a little while with my husband around the world, not the world, around the US and Canada,
Mhm.
and bought and sold homes over the internet while we did that.
Okay.
And, I would talk to the real estate agents and say, have you looked at your website lately? It really needs some work. And one of them said, I really like your ideas. Why don't you actually do that for me? And I said, oh, okay. Yeah. And I said, so I don't want to actually come into an office or anything. And he said, oh, no, you don't need to. You'll be my virtual assistant. And I'm like, what's that? And that's how I found out about being a VA. And my business took off. And I made that sound really easy. You're welcome to ask me about the challenges I had, because I did have challenges. But in just a few years, I was earning 6 figures as a virtual assistant. And that was double what I had been earning at that corporate job.
Right. And you
So
had
I
your
felt
own
very proud of
hours.
myself.
You made your
I
own
set my
hours,
own hours.
picked and
I worked
choose.
from my own home.
Yes. And that's a beautiful
I
thing.
laughed and smiled as much as I wanted.
Yeah. And the clients either appreciated it or you found a new one, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. And have you ever, everybody's probably dealt with real estate agents. They're really upbeat, fun people.
Mhm.
So it was a lot of fun working with them. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed it a lot.
I bet. Okay, so why should someone start a virtual career in this economy?
Oh my gosh, Leslie. Wow. Can you believe how fast things have changed from March of 2020 to July of 2020, where we're talking today?
No, I
Oh,
don't think
the
anybody
economy
thought
is
we would still be where we are today. I was thinking, in a month we'll be back to where we were.
Yeah, and you know what? I thought the same thing. I really did.
Mhm.
In fact, when I first heard of COVID, I don't even remember when it was. Like I heard it on the news. I just assumed it would be like every other virus that, yeah, it would sound a little scary, but it would never actually reach the US.
Right.
And then when it did and we shut down, I like you thought, oh, this is just going to be a couple of weeks, no big
Yeah.
deal. And now here we are in July and there's really no end in sight.
No.
So, and as the world knows now, the US actually shut down for how long was it that we officially shut down? Like 6 weeks,
Mm.
and still isn't totally reopened. And so all of those jobs, a lot of jobs were lost, a lot of jobs moved to virtual,
Yes.
even though those companies really weren't ready to go to virtual.
Mhm.
So the reason I think now is the best time, better than it's ever been, and it's been good for a long time, is because now employers, business owners, entrepreneurs, everyone needs someone that already knows how to work from home, needs someone who can help them build their business online, whether they've already been online and they want to grow more, or they're just now going, oh my gosh, how do I pivot from a brick and mortar to online? And guess what? Once they do that, yeah, they may go back to their brick and mortar, but they're never going to let that online business go, because I can give you anecdotal story after anecdotal story of things that have already happened with business owners working with the virtual experts that I train, that once they've gone online, they're like, why didn't I do this a long time ago? I'm literally making more money now than I was in my brick and mortar
Mm.
because the profit margin is so much better.
Right. And so
So
many
that's in a
businesses.
nutshell why.
Yes, and I would agree because a lot of businesses were either afraid to test the waters or they didn't want to
Yes.
do the upfront work to train people and the all the different things that you have to do. But now that they were
Right.
basically forced to do it, and most people have internet and computers, so they could kind of make it in the interim, even if the company's going to supply all of that. But I think they're seeing, I'm expecting probably that the commercial real estate market's going to suffer a little bit because I think some businesses may not go back to having everybody work on site. Maybe they'll do some kind of flex job schedule or something along those lines. But
Mm-hmm.
like my
Yeah.
husband's a good example. He's a financial advisor and everybody's
Mm-hmm.
working from home. And right now they're giving them an option if they want to go back to the office. And I don't think many are wanting to go back to the office because they're enjoying that freight same. I mean, they're still like my husband, he's in his chair from, 8 to 3 solid, but just the opportunity to get up and stretch your legs, go outside, get some fresh air or whatever, and not have to wear a suit every day, things like that
Right.
that
And
are
no commute,
no
no
commute.
traffic that you have to deal with. Because
Yeah.
in Houston, near where you guys live, that's bad traffic,
Mhm.
right?
Yes. Fortunately,
Yeah.
we're on the
Yeah.
suburbs and we don't deal with it. But yes, if we were driving in, like a lot of people in the suburb do drive in,
Mm-hmm.
traffic's a nightmare. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
benefits. So I agree, it's a great time.
Yeah.
So tell us what's your number one way to find and get clients as a VA?
Yeah. So Leslie, one one of my number one ways that I got clients when I was a VA was I go to hire my mom.
Ah,
So let me just throw that out there immediately. If anyone is listening to this who is thinking about becoming a VA or is already a VA, hire my mom. You got to be there. You got to have a membership there. You have to participate there because it just, you bring in your promotion, your marketing, your reputation
mhm,
is so good across the world that people come to you for recommendations.
mhm,
And as a virtual assistant that used your services, I will tell you that you have some of the best people coming there looking for looking for VAs of anywhere that I've ever been. In fact, there's only been myself, and I give referrals to people that I've trained, you and one other company that I have ever recommended to VAs to go. Yeah, you're welcome. And I don't even think you know this, but in my training program, I actually train women how to become virtual assistants and virtual experts. I have resources on where I recommend them go look for work. And there's almost none that I recommend that they pay for except yours.
Oh,
Yours is literally the only one.
well, thank you.
I'm not exaggerating. Now, IVAA, I do recommend that they take a look at that and perhaps become a member there, but that's totally different than what your program is.
Right.
Your program really is there to help people get work, to do that match between the client and the VA.
Yeah.
And IVAA is more of a membership. Yes, they have a little bit of that connection, but not like yours.
Yeah.
So that's one.
I
The other way, go ahead, Leslie.
no, go ahead, finish.
Okay, so the other way is, and I will tell you that this is the number one way that I went from struggling to get clients to actually having a waiting list of clients, was to narrow my niche. That's step one. You have to narrow your niche to make more money and to make it easier for people to refer clients to you. And on Hire My Mom, if you've got a narrow niche, you're going to have an easier time of finding clients and getting clients to hire you there also. So it doesn't have to just be a narrowed niche just for the way I'm getting ready to tell you. That's important across the board. But here's the way that I recommend: once you've narrowed your niche, then you research to find out what other businesses work with the same target market that you do, but provide different services to them. So for example, when I was a real estate virtual assistant, I connected with, just by picking up the phone and reaching out to them, real estate website companies, right? Because what I did as a real estate VA was I did blogging and wrote web content and marketed for real estate agents. So I would reach out to real estate websites, website companies who created real estate sites for the real estate agents. And I would ask them, I would do research, make sure there were companies I wanted to work with. And then I would be referring my clients to, you need a website, here's a website company that I recommend. And I would reach out to those website companies and tell them I was doing that and ask them if they ever felt like, and I already knew the answer to this because I'd done my research, that their clients needed web content. And they said, oh yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges we have. Real estate agents don't like to write.
Right.
And so, they might sit there with that website that they've bought for years, months and years before doing anything with them. And I said, well, if you refer them to me, I will make sure they thoroughly use your awesome website, because they will get the content. And that one company, the time it was the biggest, they're not in business anymore, but they were the biggest real estate website company at that time. They referred over 70 clients to me. That one company.
Wow.
Yes. And Leslie, what happens when you have a third party refer somebody to you? It's pretty much already a done deal. Yeah. Because they're coming to you. The only thing you have to do is lose that business, or you turn that person down because you don't want to work with them. Right. And that's a free way to market that costs you nothing to do that.
Right. Just a little.
So that's my number one tip. That's right.
Yeah. And that's a great tip. Because I've heard lots of people talk about niching down, figuring out what niche you really enjoy, what you're good at, but I haven't heard of that sort of marketing approach. So that's kind of golden to anybody that's like, okay, what are some other things I can do to get my name? I'm really interested in this particular niche. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. So
could I just tell you one thing that is my pet peeve these days about how a lot of VAs are either trained or just automatically marketing? This is a pet peeve of mine, and and it doesn't work. Okay. And I would love your opinion on this if you have an opinion on it too. And I will not be offended if you disagree with me. So you know how we are all on Facebook these days, and there are a lot of groups out there. There are a lot of entrepreneurs out there, and they will post, hey, I'm looking for a VA to do XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
You know anybody? And literally thousands of VAs will then post, hire me, hire me, hire me, hire me.
Yes.
That does not work.
Mm-hmm.
That overwhelms that entrepreneur who made that mistake of putting that out there.
Yep. Especially in those
Because they
large
did not.
groups.
Yes, especially in the large groups, because they did not know what was about to happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And, and this is a message also, if there are any entrepreneurs or business owners looking to hire a VA, that is not a good way to do it. You're going to be inundated. You're not going to know how to vet them. Come to somebody like Leslie, Hire My Mom, or me, virtualexperttraining.com, and get recommendations on how, who's going to really be a good fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'll bet you see this happen a lot of times too. People will come to you, they come to me and say, oh my gosh, I didn't know what was going to happen. How do I do this? And I'm like, ignore all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You need a good recommendation from somebody who really knows how to do a match for you.
Right.
So how about you? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's just a can of worms that you don't want to open, because like you said, you get bombarded. You don't know who to talk to. It's just, you cannot go through that many responses and start to DM. It's not a good system. So, either recommendation or crafting a really solid job description that weeds out the people that aren't a good fit, doing your homework up front to really know, number one, what you want from that VA, what your goals are for that VA, how you expect that VA to work, to really think through and not just willy-nilly say, yeah, I need someone to help me. Because we'll get job descriptions sometimes and it's like, I need someone to help me. I have too much to do. That's their job description. Okay, well, we got
I know.
You need a little bit more here. So really, and then we'll get job descriptions that are, 2 pages long. And I'm like, okay, you've just overwhelmed the applicant. We got to find a happy middle. It's good to be thorough.
Right.
I think the job description at times can be so long that it scares people away from even applying. So some of that could be saved
Absolutely.
for phase 2, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I don't know what you think about this, but what I tell the virtual experts that I train is, when you see a really long job description like that, if you can do 80% of it, you're a good applicant.
Yes.
You're a really good applicant.
Yeah. If you've only got, 30 or 40%, you probably shouldn't waste your time or their time.
Right.
So,
right. But, and if you know how to do all of it, I don't believe you. You don't.
Right.
Because nobody can do all of that and be really good at it and actually get the work done when it's that long.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us, what's the difference between a virtual assistant and a virtual professional, or expert? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Virtual professional is exactly what a virtual expert is. So, Leslie, I've been in this business for a long time, since 2001, and I have adored the title virtual assistant. Unfortunately, I find that it is suffering these days for multiple reasons. And I've actually done quite a bit of research to try to figure out why, because this industry, it's my heart and soul. I feel like this industry is my mission in this world, to help women learn about this, become successful in it, and to help everybody worldwide that needs a VA get someone amazing. So I hope you can tell how passionate I am about this. So I'm not saying this lightly, that the term virtual assistant is suffering. There's multiple reasons why it is. And one is that when virtual assistant term first started, there was no such thing as AI. There was not an AI, an artificial intelligence, called virtual assistant that was created by Apple, Google, Microsoft.
Yes.
So now when you Google or mention virtual assistant, if it isn't somebody who really knows what a virtual assistant is, they assume it's an AI. The other thing that's damaging it, as far as the term itself, the acronym VA. When you Google VA, what comes up is Virginia or Veterans Administration. Yeah, Veterans Affairs, Veterans Administration.
Yes.
And in fact, when you say that to someone, that's what they assume it is. Something like, it's either Virginia, or they really almost always go to veterans.
Yes.
And then other than that, the perception of what a virtual assistant is. So those who don't think it's Virginia Veterans Administration or AI, that really do know it's a human being who provides amazing service, they think it's an admin. Now, admins have their place, admins are needed. But when I talk about being able to make six figures, multiple six figures as a virtual assistant, you cannot do that as at an admin salary. You have to have that niche down. You have to have that specialization. You have to become a true expert in order to make that additional money. So the research that I found in working with talking with thousands of business owners worldwide is when I ask them what they would be willing to pay a virtual assistant, they say $15 to $25 an hour. And that's a USA based or Australia based or wherever virtual assistant, not a third world country virtual assistant. That's a totally different conversation. But I asked them why 15 to 25, and they're like, well, I would max at 25. And I'm like, okay, I got it. Why? And they're like, because that's all I would pay for an admin. And I said, interesting. And I didn't try to, because believe me, I've spent years trying to explain that a virtual assistant isn't just an admin. So then I began testing, what about a virtual expert? How much would you pay them? I didn't give them any explanation of the difference. And they said, oh, them, I would pay 45 an hour and up. And I'm like, interesting. Why? Well, because they're an expert. They're not an admin.
Yes.
Interesting.
Mindset.
Okay. So yes, it's perception. So I trademarked the term virtual expert, and I began training women to niche down to charge $45 an hour and up when they are a true expert at what they do. And the way I teach them, number one, specialize. And then number two, there are three things that three traits that people are looking for in someone, whether you call them a virtual expert or graphic designer or a social media specialist or something like that, other than a virtual assistant. Yes, you can use that term on your website, but if that is your only title, you're going to be capped at 25 an hour. So if you want to earn more, add in the specialty that you do as a title. And then the three traits that people are looking for and willing to pay that for. First, professional. Okay. What does a professional mean? That means you're going to meet deadlines and you can do what you say you can do. I know that sounds simplistic, but that is what people are looking for. You're a business owner. You run your business like a business. It's not a hobby. Right? Number two, proactive. People want somebody who's not a yes person, who if they say, here's something that I need, here's my goal that I need to accomplish, here's a task I need you to accomplish. If they suggest you do it in a way that is not going to be a good idea, speak up, let them know. Hey, I hear what you're needing to accomplish, what you want to accomplish. What would you think about doing it in this way instead? It'll save you time, it'll save you money, it'll get you better results. So be proactive both that way and in ways that you can help people save money.
Yes.
One of the virtual experts, go ahead, Leslie.
I was going to say, anytime that you can add value and show that you're a real team player means that you are more valuable to that person. It works both ways.
Yes, absolutely. So on the other side of being proactive, I just mentioned how you're going to help them make more money potentially. Yes. Help them save money. So one of my virtual experts that works with me, she specializes in Kajabi, and I use Kajabi to run my training program. And at the time, I was also using Active Campaign. And fortunately, I was doing good marketing, and my email list was growing and growing and growing. And I got to the point where I was having to pay Active Campaign $1,000 a month, and I knew that was just going to keep going up. Yes. And my virtual expert came to me and she said, Kathy, Kajabi now has their email marketing running, and you could move everything from Active Campaign to Kajabi and not pay that $1,000, and it's going to keep going up. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And she said, yeah. And I said, are you sure? And she said, I've done the research. I know this is possible, but here's what I recommend. And she spelled out a plan on how to move everything over and test it before we shut down Active Campaign. And it took her 30 days to do that for me. That was a year ago. So I've already been saving $1,000 a month. I would never have thought of it myself. I'm not techie. So
Yeah.
that's what being proactive can do for clients.
Mhm.
As a virtual expert who is proactive, you can literally be a profit center for your clients rather than an expense. And guess how much more work they're going to give you? Guess how much longer they're going to work with you when you do that. And
Yeah.
then finally, be a problem solver.
Mhm.
Do not go to your clients. If you don't know how to log into something or something goes wrong, don't go to your clients and ask them. You're there to help them save time, not cost them time.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the answer, guess what? Google can help you,
Mhm.
right? Support systems like you have at Hire My Mom, like I have in my program, you can reach out to people. There is somebody in that group that knows the answer.
Mhm.
And figure out a way around it rather than go to your client and ask them to solve that problem. So that's the difference between a VA and a virtual expert.
Yeah, and that's very well laid out and makes people realize, that kind of mindset of not wanting to pay a virtual assistant, but be willing to pay for an expert makes a lot of sense because we are stuck in thinking of an admin as kind of an entry level, but the term virtual assistant is used for so many jobs these days.
Yes.
Some of it's not
And
even admin at all.
exactly. In fact, I have had so many people say to me, I had no idea a virtual assistant did any of that.
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't know about you, but they'll ask me, well, what all can a VA do? And I say, I used to tell people they could do anything but bring you coffee, and now they can have it delivered.
That's right.
So I can't think of anything they can't do that you need done.
Yeah. That's true. Okay, so what is the secret to becoming a six-figure virtual expert?
Yeah. So, Leslie, I want to ask you a question. Do you feel like there are a lot of people out there who don't even really dream of making that kind of money? A lot
I'm
of
sure
women
there
out
are.
there.
Yes, I'm sure there are.
I
They're
just, yeah.
stuck in that mindset of I just need to pay my bills, and they don't really go past that.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I can tell you, I was one of those people.
Mhm.
By the time that boss that I talked about, I had been so beaten down. And I know a lot of women are in that same position.
Mhm.
They've been beaten down by society. They've been beaten down. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional here. They've been beaten down by bosses that don't care. They've been undervalued by corporations where you're just a number.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not saying that all corporations are bad or all bosses are bad. They're not, but there are a lot of them.
Mhm.
Because we as women, I feel like we're very supportive, very loving. We often don't speak up and display our value in a way. I know I did not at the corporate level that really made people sit up and take notice and say, "Oh, you are valuable. You do deserve a raise. You do deserve a promotion." So I too didn't think I was worth more. It was literally my own worth that I was struggling with. And what I want all people listening to this to hear is if you, and I know for sure that you already have skills. A lot of people think, like moms, I just talked to a woman yesterday. She'd been a real estate agent, and then she was a stay-at-home mom for 15 years. And of course, she did all kinds of stuff as a stay-at-home mom. She, this fits so well with your Hire My Mom. She did all kinds of volunteer work. She works at a school and on and on and on, help teach her kids. And I said, you have skills.
Yeah.
She goes, what skills do I have? And I helped her see what skills she had.
Mhm.
And I said, how much would you like to earn? And she said, I've never earned more than 35,000. Do you think I could earn that much? And I said, yes, you can absolutely earn that much. But I want you to think bigger.
Mhm.
What more would you want to earn? And she literally had a really difficult time
Mhm.
thinking about how much more she could earn. So I want anybody that's here to know, if you want to work full time, as a virtual assistant or a virtual expert, and you want to earn six figures or multiple six figures or however much you want to earn, is absolutely doable.
Mhm.
What you need to do is you need to set that goal. You need to stop taking busy work training and doing busy work. Become that professional, proactive problem solver I talked about.
Yes.
And you can achieve anything you want to achieve,
Mhm.
literally anything you want to achieve. And there's never been a better time to do that. And I don't care how old you are. If you can't see me, I'm 63 years old and look every second of it. And I have helped women from 30. I actually had one that was 24 all the way up to 70 start their business
That's
and
awesome.
grow it to whatever level they want.
Yes. I love that, Kathy.
And well, I have a motto I want to end this question with, which is, what one woman can do, another can do.
Mm. Yeah.
Because I barely know how to turn on a computer even after all these years. I am not technical at all. Most people would say, how could you ever run a six-figure business? And yet I did it. And I know for sure if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Mhm. Thank you. I love that. It's very encouraging for those that may be struggling with just their worth, their value, they're maybe just stuck somewhere. So that's kind of like, you can do it. Just,
Absolutely.
you might need some training and
Absolutely.
you might need a little help here and there, but it's possible. So, all right.
Yeah.
Excuse me. If
Everything can be taught. Everything.
yeah,
You don't have to be born with this. I wasn't born with this. I
no,
was not born with a tiara on my head. You might not believe that.
I love that. Okay, if somebody wants to learn more about you and your program, how can they find you?
Yeah. So the easiest way is to go to virtualexperttraining.com. And
Okay.
on that page, I actually have 3 different free things that you can download, and one mini course that is currently on sale for $17. That's 5 days of training to get you started.
Awesome.
So just go there and you'll see everything that you need.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for Kathy. You've really shared some great information, and I'm sure that a lot of people will be helped by it.
Thank you, Leslie, for this opportunity to talk to your people.